What is up, everybody? Mike LaFemina here from SportsEthos.com, here to do a best ball draft, $555 buy-in. Won a satellite into this through a PGA contest. So we are just waiting for the lobby to fill up here. We got 11 of 12. Excited to do this. Definitely, not in my usual buy-in range. So, but it's $1 million up top, and we gotta get through 12 people through weeks 1 through 14. I believe it's 6 week 15, 5 people week 17 or 16, and then 29 people week 17 with $1 million up top. So it looks like we drew pick 7 here, which is a pretty good spot to be in. From drafts that I've been doing, I like picking from that 7 spot. So yeah. While we get going here, be sure to follow me on Twitter at mlafem10 here. PGA content. Now that season wrapping up, we're going over fantasy football content. Make sure to like and subscribe the YouTube page. Keep us growing. We got the fantasy football pass. Everything you need for your drafts for this upcoming weekend or whenever you do your draft. Tons and tons of knowledge. Great way to give you an edge and defeat everybody in your leagues this year. A lot of great content, a lot of great contributors. So we're excited. Yeah, so from the 7 spot here, interested to see how this top half will go. Gonna try and play it a little aggressive with the receiving corps. Obviously, when you have less people to defeat, in week 17 here, you don't have to worry about correlation and stacking quite as much as when you're in a big lottery like that Millionaire Maker. And about to get on going here. Expect a Jefferson start and Chase. Big news today was Cowboys trading for Trey Lance. That's going to be pretty irrelevant for this draft and hopefully irrelevant for the season. I don't see much impact there. And looks like we can have an auto draft here from the first pick. Not too surprising. Roam here. Usually see Chase or McCaffrey in this spot. I have seen that some of the higher stakes guys do like to just auto draft, just trust in their rankings. So that may be an interesting wrinkle we have to combat here. Yeah. Mentioned it already, but if you haven't gotten that SportsEthos Fantasy Pass, $7 a month. Easy click to make. 1 second here. Or $4 a month, I think it is. My bad. So we got Cup in the 3 spot. No shock there. Tyreek going 4. No McCaffrey yet. Anticipate him being here. So if it gets to us and McCaffrey's there, he's an auto click, which he's not going to be. So really my decision is going to be between Eckler and Kelsey here. maybe Bijan. Hope we can still grab a high-end receiver on the comeback here in round 2. But Kelsey. So yeah, I'm going to start Eckler here. I think he's the most logical choice here. Still going to get a ton of work, ton of volume. They're going to run a lot of plays under Kellen Moore. I think it's an upgrade over what they've been doing in the past. There's some extra mouths to feed between Quentin Johnson, a healthy Keenan Allen, if Big Mike can stay healthy all year, which is a big ask. So I'm confident in the workload that Eckler's been getting and will continue to get. So going to hope to get a receiver here round 2, but we got A.J. Brown and Diggs going next. Then Lamb, all perfectly reasonable picks. I do not really like going RB on DraftKings just because there is the full point PPR. So there is a premium on pass catchers. As you can see, I think McCaffrey, Eckler, and Bijan are the 3 that you can justify going in round 1. Typically see Pollard and Saquon go here early in round 2. Surprised Bijan made it to round 2, but goes on the comeback here. And Pollard, as expected. Chubb. Yeah, so taking a look at who's going to be available to us, we got Wilson off the board, so Waddle is who I'm hoping for, and that's who we're going to get because Hurts went right before with the A.J. Brown stack, which is a nice beginning. Excited for Waddle this year. Love that offense. Love McDaniel, what he provides as a play caller. So I'm more than comfortable with Waddle being my wide receiver 1 here. Expecting a Mahomes stack here. Oh, passed on it. Maybe you can get it around 3. Olave. We have the McCaffrey Barkley start. Andrews. We'll see if we actually did get some auto drafters, or they were just late beginning to the party. Do expect some quarterbacks to start coming off the board here in late 2nd, early 3rd. Henry, there's that auto draft for McLovin. Devonta Smith with Chase. Yeah. So pretty comfortable with the beginning here. Obviously, your first 2 picks, you're always going to like. Really like that Brown Hurts beginning. Good Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Tony Pollard start. I'm always big on St. Brown. There's just nothing behind him in the way of targets this year, so I expect another highly efficient, highly volume season from him. This is what happens when you get auto drafters. You get the Mahomes, Allen back-to-back here in round 2, 3. Chase Smith, Ridley's pretty solid start there. You get the Lamar, Andrews stack, Tyreek like that. All right, so we are up now. So we have Eckler, we have Waddle. Do we have a Jonathan Taylor decision here? We already have Eckler. Don't really love Debo Hopkins here. Yeah, I'm gonna risk it and take Taylor. If he does happen to get traded, I like any situation that he's going to better than what he has now with the Colts. Um, and it'd be a nice little correlation, possibly, if he could get traded to the Dolphins. It's not my favorite pairing if that does happen, but it's certainly not bad, I don't think. So 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds is usually not how I build, but kind of how the board fell to us here. Um, all the top quarterbacks are off the board. I'm okay with waiting here and letting one of the receivers fall to us. Maybe Hopkins, Cooper, maybe even grab Mike Williams, start a Chargers stack. We got Ramondre going at the end of round 3. Fields going at the end of round 3 is a little higher than what I've typically been seeing him go, but obviously the rushing upside is there. Williams goes there, so okay. So a lot of 2 running back starts here. We got Chubb and Gibbs, Robinson, Ramondre, Eckler, and then obviously Taylor's kind of a wild card. But I'm okay taking that risk. It's not my favorite. We got Cooper, we got ATN coming off the board. I'm okay taking Judy here. He falls to us. Right. Hopkins getting on the older side. Judy on the upswing. He's got the hamstring injury, but don't think it's going to be more than a couple weeks into the regular season. We're going to go Judy here in the 4th round at the 4-6 spot. So kind of a balanced start here. Looks like we're going to be waiting on tight end a little bit unless Hawkinson makes it back to the middle of the 5th round, which isn't something common that I've been seeing. So I'm not going to count on that. Yeah, Hopkins goes right after. Hopkins is going to be the one. I still think Traylon Burks is going to emerge before the season ends. If not the one, then, really, really challenging Hopkins for the one. I'm just not super excited about that situation for him. Christian Watson's high upside pick. Like that. Could set that up with a Love stack a little bit later on. I have no designs of setting up a Judy Russell Wilson stack. I've not been too impressed what I've seen out of Russell Wilson so far this preseason. And the reports, they're just camp reports, but sometimes you gotta take them at face value, and it's just not something that I'm interested in this year. Curious to see where if he meant to auto draft. Looks like he does. Najee going end of 4 here. That's not a pick I'm excited about. I think Jaylen Warren's coming for him. I don't think it's going to be 50-50 or anything, at least not to start the year. I do think Najee's going to get the opportunity and definitely be in there for base down work, but he's just never breaking big plays, chugging along. He'll probably get the goal line work. So he's going to be touchdown and super high volume reliant, and it's especially in a best ball format, not something I'm too interested in. Breece Hall going in the 5th. as a third running back is interesting. Got Deontay Johnson coming over, so a couple picks before up. If Hawkinson's there, I'm going to take him. If not, no, he's gone. So I'm always in. I'm McLaurin. I'm a little concerned about the toe, possibly missing week 1. There goes Herbert, pairing up with Keenan Allen. But I still have McLaurin as my favorite of this bunch here. So I'm going to go Scary Terry here, although Dotson's looked pretty awesome so far this year. So we got McLaurin, Judy, and Waddle. Pretty solid start with our wide receiver corps. Taylor and Eckler could be a really strong RB pairing. Definitely feel good about Eckler. Taylor could bomb, but could pay off. Kind of banking on him getting traded with that pick. If he doesn't, Colts kind of have a shaky offensive line, as we saw. I don't anticipate Richardson doing a ton of dump downs to Taylor, so that's not great. It'll take some rushing plays away from Taylor too. So that. Finishing out the end of the 5th here, we got James Cook, who's been flying up the boards, and rightfully so. Should still get a lot of work there. Waller's another riser as of late. Definitely going to be the main target earner there in New York. Got Lawrence, Gabe Davis, and Godwin rounding out round 5. Little higher than I like for Lawrence. I'm kind of indifferent on him this year. I think he's obviously going to continue to improve. Got good weapons with Ridley and Christian Kirk. See if Evan Ingram can repeat what he did last year. But I'd much rather have, obviously, the Hurts, the Jacksons, the Mahomes. I'd rather have Burrow. I'd rather have Herbert. And then I'd rather wait, get some more. So we got Pickens, Dotson, Ayuk, and Sky Moore in the 6th round. That's interesting. That's higher than I have seen him going. Not totally. We already have 2 running backs. I'm not really into Kittle this year. I'm going to take Lockett, big play guy. Still think he has upside to him, especially in that Seattle offense. I expect them to continue to be good, continue to put up a lot of points. And, we have that JSN injury. So I think Lockett, now that's not going to affect the end of the season, but I definitely think he is a viable option in the 6th round and is going to still put up some points here. We got Dobbins and Madison going, then Kittle. So the way this is shaping up so far, we got 4 receivers in our first 6 picks, which is what I like. I like doing it. We don't have a superstar stud alpha number 1, but Waddle, Judy, McLaurin, Lockett, all very, very viable, especially in PPR week to week. Got some big playability in Judy and Lockett and Waddle. So Connor Akers, Devontae Williams going off the board. So Going to be looking at, not interested in Pittman here. Flowers goes off the board. Seventh round here. I'm leaning another receiver. I'm not really interested in Watson in the seventh round. Addison has some appeal to me. Marquise Brown is the definitive number one. It's obviously just has major quarterback concerns. Right now, I think I'm leaning Cooks or going Lockett, JSN back to back here and building up a CL stack. No, I prefer Cooks. I think he's in a good spot with Dallas this year. He's clearly an upgrade over Gallup. He's got big play potential down the field. And I think the Cowboys are going to be throwing it more than the narrative out there is. I'm not worried about that. The Mike McCarthy, we're going to run the damn ball. Obviously, with Pollard, but, I don't think they're going to overwork Pollard, and I don't think there's anybody really seizing that number two job. You got Rico Dowdle behind him. You got Deuce Vaughn, who's 5'5". Ronald Jones on suspension for the first couple games. So I definitely think they're going to be throwing it a ton. They're just built to, Cooks, Lamb, Pollard is electric in the open field. Ferguson seems to be making some plays. Dak has no problem chucking it around. So I'm in on the Cowboys passing attack this year. Solid offensive line still. So to round out round 7 here, we got Ingram, JSN, Sutton, a little on the rise with the Judy news, which is to be expected. Pittman, I mentioned I'm not really into this year. I don't think I have any of him at all. I might have like 5%. I'm just concerned about Richardson's throwing ability and just where Pittman's potential and upside comes from. I just don't see a lot of big plays and a lot of big weeks. Just a lot of steady 10 to 12 point weeks, which is fine for your wide receiver 5, but I look for more upside in my picks. Quentin Johnson rounds out round 7. Then we get into this running back tier: Rashad White, DeAndre Swift. Swift, I'm having trouble with. I expect him. I think he's a talented runner. Obviously, Philly's offensive line is awesome in the run game, but Penny's there, Gainwell's there. I'm not sure how much passing work or goal line work Swift's going to get. And if he's running in between the 20s most of the time, again, I just don't see what we got going on. So we're on the clock here. We had Sanders and Pacheco go right before us. I think this is a good spot to grab up Montgomery. I think he's being undervalued here. Obviously, we saw Gibbs go in round 3, and I certainly expect him, to be the main passing down back and mix in the base work, but I still expect Montgomery to be the lead man with the base and be the goal line back, touchdowns. I don't expect a Jamal Williams 18 touchdown season, but they have obviously shown Detroit, that is, has obviously shown they're not huge into Goff running the QB sneak or the tush push or anything like that. So I'm okay going Monty here in round 8. Got Bateman, Kamara. And I'm okay if Montgomery's my RB2 if Taylor flames out here. So got no tight ends, no quarterback yet. That's okay. I'm just going to continue to be patient and let the board fall to us. I'm okay just snagging up 2 of, going back to back with like a Daniel Jones and a Geno Smith. I do not think last year was a fluke for Geno. So he's got great weapons, solid offensive line, average defense. So could be some shootout potential in their games. Gets to go against the Cardinals twice a year. Pretty interesting start to round 9 here with Tony, which I think is totally viable in this price range. Beckham and Treylon Burks, who I mentioned already as somebody I'm interested in this year. We got Cousins with the Addison, then Robinson going with Gibson. So I think, do I want Tua or Daniel Jones? I think Tua makes sense since we do have Waddle. And I think we're getting a pretty good value on him in round 9 here. Obviously, there are some health concerns with him, but I'm not, he seems good to go and ready to play. So I'm not going to overly worry about it. Obviously, it's in the back of your mind that he just may be done with the one wrong hit. So we'll definitely have to shore up the position and grab a couple more here. Lazard and Jones go next. As I mentioned, Jones is perfectly viable. Finished as a top 10 QB last year. Now, there were some injuries to consider with that, but I think he definitely has the upside to be doing that again in year 2 of being in Dable's offense. Acquired Waller. Hopefully the offensive line is a little bit improved, but definitely has the rushing upside. There goes Richardson at the end of round 9 here. I'd rather have Jones than Richardson. I'm just kind of meh on him. Like I'm not overly opinionated. And so I just end up not really getting him. We get Bigsby, Nico, Jacoby Myers going. So we're up in a couple picks here. There goes Charbonnet. There goes Gino. So we have Cooks. So I think I'm going to go with the back-to-back quarterback here and get Dak. So now we have the Dak Cook stacks, and we also have the Tua and Waddle stack. And then we can consider a third quarterback much later towards the end of the draft. So, okay with that. Hopefully, going to take a couple shots on some running backs with upside. Maybe a receiver next round. See what falls to us. And Freiermuth, who could be a potential target. I don't expect him to make it to us. Njoku I have some interest in, but I think Warren would be the ideal target. In round 11, I think he's shown that he has a lot of upside. nip it on the buds of Najee Harris. I don't expect him to take over the backfield or anything, but I expect it to be pretty evenly split as the year goes on. I expect him to be involved in the passing game, more big play potential, as I mentioned, as far as upside. So I'm in on Jaylen Warren this year. McKinnon going in the round 10. That is perfectly reasonable. Obviously going to be featured in that elite passing game. I never have any issues getting a piece of the Kansas City Chiefs. I wouldn't recommend, Tony's okay, but other than Sky Moore and Kelsey, I'm not super interested. Or MVS, I got interested in too, so I guess. But like the Rasheen Rices and the Justin Rosses. Oh, there goes Warren, so not going to be getting to us. I'm okay with Higbee as my tight end, but I think we can wait to get him. Looks like we're going to be grabbing another receiver here. I'm okay with not okay with Zay. I'm okay with Zay Jones. He just went. Mooney, I think, has some upside. Or MVS. I think I'm going to go MVS. We know his role is established in the offense. We have Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball as compared to Justin Fields. We didn't see too many of those nuclear games out of MVS last year, but I think there is always the potential for that with him. So I'm more than okay with that in the 11th round. Got Aaron Rodgers going there. We got 2-3-6 build here. Okay with the way things are going so far. Pretty happy with the upside of our picks. Quarterback is going to be serviceable. Would have liked a little more rushing upside out of my quarterbacks, but maybe we can address that with our QB3. Prescott can run, but he's never going to be a super high volume runner. He's good at it. I wish he would do it more, but just never does. So we got Chig, Schultz back to back. We had Hodgins and Mozart rounding out round 11. So we are up in 4 picks here. There goes Kenny Pickett, who's been on the rise and deservedly so. He's looked awesome. So it may be a year 2 breakout of sorts for him. Don't fully trust the passing game there. Not so much a Pickett, it's more a offensive philosophy issue, and we get sniped on Higbee. Here. We were considering Mooney last round, so he's definitely an option. Running back, I think I'm going to scoop up Gainwell while I can here. He's been going a little higher. I think he's okay to grab here in the 12th round. I think he's going to be the 2-minute back in Philly. May even sprinkle in some baseline or base formation work. So especially in PPR formats like we are in DraftKings here, I am okay going up a little high, he was sneaking up into like the 10th round a couple weeks ago, but the steam has kind of cooled back off, and he's drifted back to round 12, which is a price I'm okay paying for. There. So don't love that we're waiting this long for tight end, but okay with it. There's still plenty of options for us to consider. You got Laporta on the board. We got Ferguson on the board that we can pair with our Cooks and Dak stack. Juwan Johnson has been gaining some buzz. Musgrave is going to be on the field for every play. Hayden Hurst is interesting. Henry's interesting. So we definitely still have some options left. Not panicking on tight end at all. A-Chain and Mitchell go. Jameson Williams is an interesting stash. You know, as I mentioned before, there's nothing behind Amon-Ra St. Brown in terms of pass catching, unless you're banking on Sam Laporta being that guy. He might be, but they just desperately need some downfield stretching, and Jameson Williams can provide that, but obviously suspended for the first 6 weeks. So we got Laporta, Everett going off the board. Thielen, not my favorite of the Carolina bunch. I much prefer Mingo, which is kind of where I'd be leaning here. Chark is injured, and it's a little concerning. I'm not super in on Michael Gallup this year. Jaden Reed is interesting. I think we can wait on him as part of third wide receiver. I mean, this all depends on if Jordan Love ends up being good or not. I think we'll just bite the bullet and grab Ferguson here just to ensure that we get that stack. Hopefully not get sniped here. He's got Kelsey, so I don't imagine. And he does go Russell Wilson, so we are going to go ahead and grab Jake Ferguson here, who has risen and grabbed that number 1 tight end role. Be interesting to see this year if the tight end 1 in Dallas is as valuable as it's been the past couple of years. If it was a Dak and Schultz connection, if it was just Schultz being better than expected, if it was a Kellen Moore design, or if it's just Dak being comfortable throwing to his tight ends and relying on them. He should definitely have a lot of space to work with in the middle of the field, with Cooks stretching the field, CeeDee Lamb garnering attention, Gallup in as well in 3 receiver sets, if they have Ferguson on the field for those as well. Might see a Samuel Howell back-to-back click here. Howell is definitely interesting to me. He's got the rushing upside. He's looked awesome in the preseason. And I'm into it. So I did go Van Jefferson there. I think Howell's going to be the play here. Sure up that third quarterback for us. Like I said, we waited, so I don't mind going a little volume and getting 3. Hopefully having one of these 3 pop each week. They're all 3 with considerable upside. Went Purdy there, so we got Lucky there. Could consider Reed too, but I think we have a better shot of Reed being in there in round 15 than Howell. We do have McLaurin as well, so we got three decent stacks. McLaurin, Howell, Prescott, Cooks, and Tua, Waddle. So happy with the way that has gone about. Algiers certainly interesting in this price range. Obviously, Bijan was drafted early to be the man, but I still think Algier is going to have a role. I think he earned it. Was excellent last season. I'm not sure Atlanta's going to run the ball quite as much as they did last year. I think Ritter is going to be better than Mariota was last year, which is not hard to do. He was awful. So we had a full offseason for Desmond Ritter to get acclimated into the offense. Kind of like Howell, we saw towards the end of last year, there were some signs, Ritter wasn't great, but he's got some weapons to work with. He's got Bijan coming out of the backfield. He's got Algier. He's got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, good young core, up and coming offense. I think Arthur Smith is certainly a solid coach, to be determined if he's a fantasy-friendly coach, as all of us Kyle Pitts shareholders found out last year. He can be a little infuriating. We did see kind of a mixed bag of running backs last year, so be interested to see if he does that again this year, or if Bijan is the bell cow that many project him to be. I still think his role is going to be awesome in the offense, but I just have some concerns about getting tons and tons and tons of work. So the rest of round 14, Dolphins Peoples-Jones is an interesting pick there. Certainly has big play capability, has been in the offense for a few years. Showed some chemistry with Watson last year. And I think may be better than Elijah Moore. So I'm definitely, I like the price on Donovan's Peoples-Jones better than Elijah Moore. We saw flashes with Elijah Moore when he was with the Jets, and then last year obviously was a disaster. Didn't do much in Cleveland when he did get traded. So Spears is a good pick there, around 15. I think he's going to mix in. I don't think they're going to burden Henry with as much work as he has been getting the past few years. So let's see here. We do need to get another running back here. Pierce goes off the board. So we have Jeff Wilson or Kendra Miller. I like Wilson here to pair up with our Tua and Waddle stack. Wilson is a decent receiver out of the backfield. Should get some run early in the season to start. If Jonathan Taylor gets traded to the Dolphins, that may nuke that pick a little bit. But I don't think Jeff Wilson's just going to go away. Miller was the other option there. He's got Jamal Williams in front of him. He's got Kamara in front of him. But I think it's a decent bet on upside. Kamara could just be done. We saw some not so great signs from him last year. Obviously going to be missing the first 3 weeks of the season, so it may take a little bit to warm up and get integrated. And Jamal Williams certainly isn't a 3-down bell cow guy, so there's potential for Miller to impress early in the season and establish a role there. I'm going to have to start taking a shot on another tight end here soon. We got a little bit of a run going on. Just within the last few picks here, we've had, or the last couple of rounds, we've had Juwan Johnson, Musgrave, Dulcich, Irv Smith, Tyson Hill, Michael Mayer, Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox in the 15th round is quite a value. I still think he's going to be lining up and running routes, possibly with Kincaid out there, especially if they're running Kincaid in the slot. So Josh Allen trusts him. I don't think we've heard the last of Dawson Knox, so I like that in the 15th round. So we're coming up here. Not the lobby. That's not what I have to click. There it is. We're on the clock. It's good to mess that up. Did we auto? I think we might have autoed. And we did with Kyler Murray. Ugh. Bad beat. Oh no. 4 QB, so bad. Ugh. Ugh. All right. Well, we'll have to bounce back here. Oh, that was not ideal. That was a nice. Anyway, so we ended up with Kyler Murray in the auto draft pick, which is yuck. It would have been fine if he was my third quarterback, but 4 quarterbacks is not what we're looking for. But after that, we had Slayton, Hunt, Stroud, Rashid Shaheed, Zamir White, and Richie James go off the board. So nobody I was really considering. So that's okay. Really would like another tight end. Meant to go to players. So Foreman, I have been seeing that he may not even make the team. So that's a little bit of a risky pick. So obviously that's just straight zeros all year. Could get picked up elsewhere, I guess, but the emergence of Roschon Johnson has definitely put his roster spot in question. We got Tannehill and Michi here, so I think Hurst is definitely going to be the pick here. I like him over Conklin. I think there's just too many other mouths to feed at the Jets for Conklin to really have upside weeks. We saw, not that Hurst is going to be, of course. Have here, I think we can wait a little bit. We'll go receiver here. I like Allen Robinson out of the slot. I don't think he's destined to be the outside guy anymore, and he doesn't need to be with Pickens and Deontay Johnson there. So I think he can see a pretty nice role in Pittsburgh and be our 7th wide receiver. So we got 4, 5, 7, 1 here. I would prefer that to be 3, 6, 7, 1. Palmer's pretty interesting. Jerome Ford. Mark Wilson seems to be taking work away from Rondell Moore and being the wide receiver 2. So it has some potential there, especially if Kyler comes back. Mac Jones going in, who's somebody I like pairing with Hunter Henry at the end of drafts. Ty Chandler and Kyron Williams. Chandler's assumed the number 2 role there in Minnesota, which is a pretty nice position to be in because we've not seen evidence that Madison can be the guy. Here I'm going to puke a little bit and grab CEH. He seems to just be hanging around. He's still going to get some base down work with Pacheco. Might mix in the passing game here and there like he was supposed to when he was first drafted. But I think there's always some unpredictability in the Kansas City backfield. For the 18th round, 18-6, I think we could do worse than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I think that's going to be it for me at running back. We have Eckler and Jonathan Taylor leading the cart in front with David Montgomery being our RB3 with potential to put up RB2 numbers. We got Kenny Gainwell and Jeff Wilson providing some upside. CH as a dart throw. I am definitely going to have to grab another tight end here before the well runs too dry. And then for the 20th pick, we'll have to make a decision whether we want to go wide receiver and get an 8th one. We have Waddle, Judy McLaurin, Lockett, and Cooks, as well as MVS and Allen Robinson. We had Otten, Fant, and Likely go off the board. So what do we even have left for an option? And Trey McBride. I mean, if Trey McBride's ever going to be a thing, it's gonna be this year. Maybe not, but there have been reports of Ertz getting on the field, but I'm not expecting a great season from Arizona. I think it would be wise of them to see what McBride can do. Now, we don't know if their coaching staff is wise or capable. That is to be determined still. Gus Edwards, good pick there. Patterson's pretty interesting. I don't think we've seen the last of Cordarrelle Patterson in the Falcons offense either. So we got McBride or Gesicki here. It's McBride. You could make an argument for Gesicki, but I just think there's, there was a high amount of draft capital invested in McBride by the Cardinals, so I think it would behoove them to see what they have. We've seen the Patriots spend on tight end and free agency and it not go, i.e. Jonnu Smith. So, and they still have more options at receiver than Arizona does. We have Mark Wilson emerging, and we have Hollywood Brown, obviously. Then we have a struggling Rondell Moore. We have Craig Dortch. So I think there are targets available for McBride. All right. So with the 20th pick here, Corey Davis is retired, so we are not going to be selecting him. Could do Josh Reynolds. Or Khalif Raymond, just to get a piece of that Detroit passing game. McBride, I have no interest in. Hooper could be interesting. Because I'm not sure if the Raiders are super sold on Mayer being the guy right off the bat. We also have Logan Thomas as a possibility. Jelani Woods. But in the end here, I think I am just going to go with Kendrick Bourne. I think he has a potential comeback season in him with New England. They did pay him a lot of money. I do think the coaching staff likes him. I think he's better than Tyquan Thornton and can provide the deep ball threat that they are desperately needing of. So I think there is potential for a Bourne bounce back this season. So looking up here, looking at our team, obviously don't love that we had the misclick and ended up auto drafting a fourth quarterback. Pretty unfortunate there. But otherwise, pretty shallow on tight end, especially considering we didn't get one until week 13, round 13 with Ferguson and McBride. So that is very fragile and very weak. Could be the downfall of this squad. But otherwise, I think we're strong at running back with Eckler and potentially Taylor. Gutman and Montgomery. I'm confident in Gainwell having a solid role this year. I'm confident that Jeff Wilson is going to get some work too. I like CEH as a little lottery towards the end of the draft. Very solid receiving corps with Waddle, Judy, McLaurin, Lockett, Cooks, and MVS. We have some pretty good stacks with Tua and Waddle, with McLaurin and Sam Howell, and with Ferguson, Cooks, and Dak. So there's definitely a lot to like about this team. It's not my favorite team that I've ever drafted by any means, but I think that all in all, pretty happy other than the 4 QB mix-up, as we mentioned. Just want to thank everyone for tuning in, checking this out. Be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube channel as we continue to grow here at SportsEthos. And then be sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Pass, the NFL Fantasy Pass, only $4 a month. We've got the All Sport Fantasy Pass for